Mild Man was, like I said, he was a poor man's lawyer. All he did was murder defense. And so coming up, talking about the latest murder trial was pretty common at the Casa de Schreiber dinner table. And what you learned through that was he wasn't getting people off most of the time. I mean, half the time there was a confession and there's 50 eyewitnesses. But what he taught me was that teaching people, killing people to teach people that killing people was wrong doesn't work. And it disproportionately affects poor people and poor people of color. And so the state has the awesome power to take away your life or your liberty. They must be held to an awesome responsibility, to an awesome burden to do that. And so what that really kind of instilled in me was the effect that the justice system can have on people's lives. And I tried doing criminal defense. And I started doing some of the sexual stuff involving women and kids. I could not zealously advocate for those people. There are lawyers who can, and I tip my hat to them, but I was not one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I had a buddy of mine, still to this day, has done nothing but like murders, death cases, death penalty cases.
Yeah.
And he always says, my clients, most of them are guilty, but let them prove it.
Right.
Let them prove it.
Because in Florida, you want to take a plea, you're going to the electric chair. Right, so this was about, and that was Mild Man's claim to fame was after, I think, 52 first-degree and second-degree murder cases, nobody ever got the chair. That's all you were doing. You were just trying to get them 3 hots in a cot for the rest of their life. But all that being said, he also taught me there wasn't a lot of justice in the criminal justice system. And so, when I was in law school, he said, try to go to the civil side, make some money and do some good. Do well by doing good. And that's really been kind of the North Star.
And when I first met Brett, you were at another firm, and you were an original founding member of Justice HQ, one of the first people I talked to. And I talked to a lot of people. This is before we even had a platform, before we had anything. And Brett, within 5 seconds, he's like, you're forming the greatest alliance of lawyers together on one platform to do good together. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then, since then, left, formed Singleton Schreiber, now you have offices in like
8 states.
8 states.
504 head count.
How much?
504 people.
504.
Yeah, 120 lawyers and 385 staff. 120.
120 lawyers. Jeez Louise. All right, well, we might need another pour after that. So tell us about these trials, the Monsanto trials. What's that like?
I think the wildest part is the sheer amount of information, right? And I think that can be so overwhelming at first that we think, oh, maybe that makes it hard. And ultimately, it comes back to the same level of work and concentration as any other case. You're just up against Darth Vader, which is really wild, how dark. I remember Teresa and I talking just about how sticky it felt to be against these scary Monsanto lawyers that were willing to stand up and defend that conduct. So I think it was more on a personal level, more difficult than other types of cases. But what I did learn is that those are the cases we all need to be taking and trying, and we will win them. There are massive amounts of despicable conduct that has to be held accountable in order for us to start reshaping and changing the direction of this country. And I think toxic torts are a wonderful place for us to start.
I mean, these are poisoning people, causing cancer for profit, and covering it up. I mean, that's what it is.
And I just saw Mr. Panish walk by, and doing the Pinto calculation, right? Doing the Pinto calculation way back in the 60s, 50s, 40s of, it. We'll pay for it later.
Yep. We'd rather pay for somebody's suffering than pay for fixing it because it costs less.
And juries are pissed. Yeah. Real people, not the people that were being shown on the media, not the people that our current president seems to be talking about, whoever they are, if they are anybody. Real people are pissed and ready for change. Real people are not granting immunity to corporations for poisoning people. Real people are not okay with their children and their homes being dangerous spaces.
Hey, this is Bob Simon, the host of Bourbon of Proof. This tour we couldn't do without our sponsors.
Jeff Wells here, immediate past president of Consumer Attorneys of California. We need all of you. We need all hands on deck. We need you to donate to the Alliance Against Corporate Abuse. We need your efforts today. It's going to take all of us. The people that we represent that don't have a voice, we're their voice. You speak out for them in the courtroom. We need you to speak out for them at the ballot box this year. Let's go.
Our local sponsor for Los Angeles is none other than Quest Settlements. And we have Rosa, who is the founder, CEO, and everything of Quest. And we want to thank Rosa for everything she does for our community and our clients.
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Coastal Research. Coastal Research has the ability to find the policy limits of any corporation that's trying to hide assets and how much financial responsibility is actually out there. The beauty of Coastal Research is that it also integrates with products such as Attorney Share, your CRM, products like that. So shout out to Coastal Research. Again, we only let people sponsor the show if we use and believe in their products.
Why do you do this across the nation? Because you have your own political action committee pretty much where you're taking out bad judges nationwide. I mean, is this like sport killing for you, or like what's your why?
No, I came from nothing and I'll leave with nothing. So I grew up poor. I didn't know what money was. I actually thought that people that lived in trailer parks were rich. That's what I believed as a kid, because the trailer parks were nicer than the places that I lived in when I did have a home to live in, when I did have a roof over my head. But somehow the universe has put me in a position. I've worked hard, but also there's been a lot of luck, and I also privileged, compared to other people that don't have the same color of skin that I have, that didn't grow up in Iowa in a small farm town. The universe has put me in a position where I've been able to make a lot of money, and I continue to make a lot of money. And I believe that I would be betraying my purpose in this life if I didn't give everything that I possibly can to help others and to do it in a way that's selfless. So it's just what I believe in. I think that our purpose in this world is to help people and is to protect people. So that's what I do, and I'll do it as long as I possibly can. And if I have to burn everything to the ground and start all over again, pursuing a just cause, then I'll f***ing do it.
And for now, I know why you've collected billions of dollars of verdicts, because not only was that sincere and credible, but I know you believe that. And I've seen you try cases, and I know you believe it. I've also seen you, beguile's not the right word, but when you're in a courtroom, it's weird. It's almost like a cult. Like you've created this cult of jurors, and they're just all in. Have you watched the Starbucks trial that he did on trial?
No,
Dude, it's
crazy.
crazy.
I watched some of it on trial. What is that?
CVN.
But I've tried a case with Nick. We tried a case together once, and I've seen it firsthand. Like I always tell people, I've seen everyone in trial. I've sat in the audience. I've watched them all. But I've tried a case with Nick, and Nick is from another planet. He is on another level that you don't know. The level he's on is not a level that you've even heard of.
We're out there talking to women, survivors, in a way that they can understand and don't feel ashamed to go forward. So we're serving a really important purpose out there, because for years and before Me Too and everything else, women just suffered in silence and they didn't know what to do.
When we work on these cases, we realize survivors have to be in a safe place to talk, right? And those intakes take a much longer process. How many intakes are you doing in a case for women?
Over the past 10 years, we've done hundreds of thousands of intakes, but at this point, we do about 63 intakes a day.
63 a day.
63 a day. And our whole goal, everything we do is internal. We're not farming anything out to anybody. We're doing this with a Case for Women staff, coast to coast, mostly women. And what we do is really create that safe space for women to feel like they can confide in us like we were their best friends. They can tell us that thing they never wanted to tell anyone, so that we can then help them hold their hand and hopefully help them join these lawsuits that are so powerful. I'll tell you, every woman we talk to says, I don't want this to happen to someone else. And that's the hope and the promise that we hold out for women.
And what type of cases are they calling on? Like, where do these cases originate out of?
Almost everything is originating out of Instagram. Some from TikTok, some from Facebook, some from other forms of digital media or Google search or whatever. But Instagram is a big place where we have a giant presence and where women they're there. Women are living on Instagram. So they find us.
If some people are watching that might want to reach out, is there a cost to the women who call, or how is it funded, or how's it paid for?
Zero cost. Zero cost to talk to a case for women. We are lucky enough to work with law firms like you guys, and because we run campaigns for law firms, we're able to cover all of our costs and do more and more and more outreach. Not only do we have a case for women where we're helping women to sign up for civil legal action, but we have a 501c3 called a Fund for Women. I bet you didn't even know about that. And we've given away so far about $60,000 to women in micro loans. They're not even loans, micro donations to just help them get from
grants. Grants.
Micro grants. Thank you, to get from one day to the other. Kind of no questions asked.
Wow. So whenever you
no cost.
Well, from Roblox, Uber, Lyft, sex trafficking cases, and what I've seen is a lot of times is firms will work with yours, and whenever they need a partner co-counsel, maybe it's in another state, or they need a specialist. I can see I can tell when it's your screening because they'll put the case to their co-counsel on attorney share so they can track the status so everybody's in the loop. But I mean, it's a family operation at a case for women. Both of your daughters?
Both of my daughters are now in the business. That's interesting sometimes. One is on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and they're rocking it. I don't have to do much anymore. See, I can come out here and drink bourbon iced tea, and they're working. They're doing the operations, they're running the intake,
And
they're doing all the stuff.
You're based in Dallas?
Yes, home base is in Dallas, but we're all over the country.
We have a fight against Uber.
I think we do. There's something going on against
Yes.
Uber.
Uber.
Yeah.
So we have a fight against Uber. We have to uncover what Uber's been doing in the market and in not doing reasonable background checks on their drivers, which leads to more accidents, which is why they have an initiative to get them out of liability for accidents. And so we're fighting that. We're fighting against, as I said, the utilities want to get free of liability for the wildfires they cause. We're also fighting to continue pre-death pain and suffering in California.
Well, let's talk about the rideshare responsibility, not just background checks, but it's also about, it's a gig play. It's about big tech wants to come in and eliminate the jobs of their drivers and just be an autonomous vehicle factory.
Yeah, let me tell you how Uber did this year. They're such a dirty company. They came in and they got a deal where they could reduce their uninsured motorist coverage from $1 million to $60,000. $1 million to $60,000.
I don't know how they did that. It's
Well, I'll tell you how they did it. They got the unions and told them, we're going to let you unionize us if we do it. So the unions helped them. And they got it through with not a single no vote because the unions were on their side. And then the day after that got signed into law, they filed the ballot measure to get free of liability by gutting the attorney contingency fee system. And then a month later, they announced, we're going to bring our robo-taxis to the roads in California, so screw the unions.
They literally partnered.
They screwed the unions.
And the unions got to be pissed because they announced it right after that. They said they're partnering with NVIDIA, Waymo, and it's like, guys, the writing's on the wall.
And they are not if you want a company like Waymo to do self-driving cars, I'm nervous. But Waymo actually puts a lot of money into their cars. They're about $250,000. The cars Uber is looking at is maybe $75,000.
No.
They're not going to use these LiDAR sensors, which are the sensors you need to make them work well. They're going to use one instead of five.
Wait, and this is going to be the problem is when they do that, and in their initiative it says that you essentially cannot have an attorney fight for you, you don't have access to medical care. Everybody knows that's a product liability case that's going to cost $1 million plus just to get to the courtroom. They're going to offer people zero money and they're going to be able to do whatever they want.
They are. And what the initiative does, for people who don't know, is it not only limits the contingency fee to 25% or makes the victim's recovery 75%, but it doesn't allow for medical recovery to be part of that 75%. So it's got to come out of the 25%, which
Health
means
insurance.
if you have $250,000 in medical bills from a serious injury, the attorney gets nothing. It all goes to medical bills.
And even they're not made whole. Like these medical, they're like health insurance.
Good
By
luck.
the way, so I want to recognize.
Good luck
our-
getting attorneys to work for free.
We entrust our clients with their money over their lifetime. You structure it, make sure they have tax advantages, that it's in a safe place.
Yes.
Would you ever counsel our clients to invest in giraffes?
What?
Giraffes.
Sterling, will you explain once and for all the animal investment?
Okay, so animals are treated like farm equipment. And exotic animals, certain animals, exotic animals are treated like farm equipment. So you buy one, and you basically get to write them off like accelerated
So
depreciation.
like what, a giraffe?
Giraffe,
How much does
zebra,
a giraffe cost?
kudu.
How much does a giraffe cost?
I don't remember the
That's
numbers.
how tall
But
it is.
Here's the deal.
They ran by the foot.
For the last 20...
So much they sell them by the foot?
They've been appreciating at about 10 to 20% a year. So you get a depreciation, you buy it, and then right now the depreciation is at 100%. So I buy a
We're
giraffe.
talking giraffe depreciation.
Right,
I did not know this would take this turn.
I buy an exotic animal, I get to write off 100% of it. The one thing it does is it duplicates, right? They have babies. So what investment do you have that not only goes up in value, but self-populates with new ones every year?
Have you got Mauro to buy some animals?
I haven't, but I will gladly take any
he's got
attorneys.
he's got some animals.
We can do a weekend trip, and you can go down and see it firsthand. It'll be one of the coolest vacations
He has,
you've ever
he has
been
his
on.
own safari.
We'll charter a plane. We'll take 5 of you guys at a time down there. We'll spend 2 or 3
Where are we
days.
going?
Oh, we're going to go down to Austin, not Austin,
San Antonio.
San Antonio, Texas. There's 5 ranches.
Isn't that where the
that all have
tiger guy
exotics
was?
on them.
Yeah.
Wasn't the tiger
So
guy?
Rosa, would you ever? So are you going to counsel our clients to invest in snow owls, giraffes?
Yeah.
I think she's going to
Water
know.
buffalo.
Water buffalo.
Well, the thing
Water
is,
buffalo.
That's the wildest thing I do. Let me give you an example. You can buy a piece of heavy equipment for a major company that leases heavy equipment. We buy the equipment on finance. You put $1 in, you get $5 worth of deduction. For every attorney, that's worth about 2 to 1. So every $1 that you put in, you save $2 in taxes. Okay, now that company guarantees to make the payments for you. You'll get an income return on that payment, and at the end of 5 years, you get 150% of your money back after getting a 2 to 1 return.
Rosa, what you do is
So that's a 300% return.
when our clients get a settlement, it's tax-free because it stems from a personal injury.
As long as it is from a personal injury claim, the winnings are tax-free. If it's an employment case, wrongful termination, discrimination, that is a tax-deferred annuity.
But the interest the gains on their interest that put into your vehicle are also tax-free if done right.
So structured settlements provide tax-free interest. So it's almost like a legal way of hiding their money. Tax-free interest, it's never reported to taxes. It's on the principal and the interest accumulated as well.
So if we took, hypothetically, if I were Mauro's client, I slipped and fell on a banana peel at the dollar store, I hurt my back, and I got $2 million. Could I take it and put it into wildlife in San Antonio?
yes.
Why
Yes,
could I not?
and we will be calling Sterling. Yes.
You could.
You could.
Especially with 100% depreciation first year.
How's the
Yes.
swampland?
Or here, I'll give you another one. We could take some money from Rosa. We could borrow it out. We could put it into another entity. We can now use the money inside that entity to finance future cases. Charge interest to the client if you charge interest, or we can take an option on the outcome of a case, guarantee the law firm a minimum guarantee, and the option. Anything that goes above the options contract, 100% of that money falls back into that fund that we pay no taxes on.
And you're talking about Mauro's money.
Tomorrow's
Right.
money, anybody's money.
Look, okay, so Brian, how about Brian Mauro? How about we just keep representing people in the courtroom, making money, and then these things work
And
themselves
Mauro's
out?
got to figure out how he doesn't have to pay any tax.
Let
Bourbon of Proof would be nothing without its sponsors, and we'd like to thank Attorney Share. Attorney Share is a platform where you can share referrals and track the status in real time straight from intake. It also deals with all of your co-counsel compliance, so you can work with your co-counsels and track the status of everything going on in the case. And there is nothing better than a case referred from a trusted source. So join Attorney Share for free at attorneyshare.com. We'd like to thank Justice HQ, which is the mobile app for everybody in the legal industry to be community builders. You could be building your private or public community, have events, have content that is on demand, living forever, and most importantly, connect with all of your mentors across the nation. And the subscription is only $20 a month to stay connected. We'd like to thank, well, my firm, the Justice Team. Justice Team 844, the team, will find you the best lawyer across the country in any specialty. Reach out today. I mean, you might get to talk to me or my AI avatar. Today, we want to thank Fiore Legal. Ganes Oy. You could win today with Fiore Legal, your partner in California, Washington, Arizona, and now Oregon. Fiore Legal specializes in car crashes, slip and falls, motorcycles, and probably have tried more cases than most humans on the planet. Thank you, Fiore Legal. You guys are getting really big results in the courtroom, but how did you take, what made you think, I got to step back from trying every case to help this firm grow and help more people?
I mean, I think that I knew that at the time there's people with a lot more experience than me, and I had a knack for getting cases. And I thought, well, if we were to kind of divvy up the roles in this team, I like to try cases. I enjoy it because it gives me, when you're managing a lit firm, if they think you don't know what you're talking about, then that's never good. But, I knew that my best role for the team would be to focus on managing and bringing in business. And there were amazing superstars around me that, wanted to come join. And I knew that would be more of their forte. So that's kind of how it transitioned into the role. But, once in a while, I still like to go in there. It's fun.
I mean, who would not? I would buy anything you're selling. I mean, look at the salt and pepper hair. Look at the smile. I mean, anybody would sign with this guy.
And he's young, but he's got that old soul and that gray hair.
Yeah. So what does the future hold for you guys? Are you just gonna stick to Southern California?
No, we want to get out there, get into other states. A lot of what we're doing, as far as admin, we've offshored, which I know people think it's a bad thing, but for running firms and being able to stay competitive and, pay lawyers that work at the firm very well, it's helped us out a lot. So we, to us, it doesn't make a difference to work from the pre-lit side of case in California, Arizona, or Nevada. So, we're going to start pushing out east. We started already in transition, but, California is such a big market, but that is the future.
You're doing a lot of cases with survivors. A lot of ones of sex trafficking. You're doing cases for rideshare responsibility. You're on the War Council to hold rideshare responsibility accountable. Can you just give us all just a sense of what's going on and why and what's like, if we peel back the layers of the onion, what's happening?
For sure. So basically, if you really want to go back to the origin story, Uber is establishing themselves as the new 800-pound gorilla of politics. And they realized that they couldn't always beat us legislatively. And they're not tech and they're not labor. And they want to forge this new unholy alliance that they have become. And so they figured who better to go after than the trial lawyers? And who better to go after than the people that we represent? And let's just deny access to justice to regular people as best we can, because we want everyone to ignore the fact that we've got this big sex assault problem, right? And so, best defense is a good offense. And so don't pay attention to all of our dirty secrets. Let's make this about a new boogeyman being lawyers and doctors. And that fundamentally is what this is about. They've tried it in other states. And win, lose, or draw, they want to try to use this as leverage in other states. Because not if we win, but when we win this fight in California, they will turn around to Kentucky and Illinois and parts all over and say, well, yeah, they may have won in California, but those are crazy ass liberal California. And they're going to try to extract their pound of flesh from consumers across this country, getting immunity statutes, because tying it back to Tesla and robo-taxi, the long play here, they don't give a shit about the drivers. They don't care about labor. Their whole business model is based upon eradication of human beings, right? And so whatever they need to get there, whatever is the means to justify the ends, they will do. And this is a step in that process. This is a large multi-billion-dollar, soon-to-be transnational corporation, or is transnational corporation, that just decides it's going to throw its weight around. But unfortunately for them, they picked the wrong fight in the wrong place with the wrong people.
You said this once on a podcast I listened to, where the hotels and motels that are taking money for sex trafficking are setting the stage for the perpetrators. Do you feel like it's the same thing that Uber is doing to allow this to happen?
1,000%, right? Every one there are no doubt that in all these assault cases, there are bad actors, but every actor needs a stage, right? And, you know, I had a guy drive me up here today because I had a bunch of work to do, and he has a private, chauffeur's license. He's regulated, by the PUC. He has to have a real background check. That is constantly evolving, right? We know from the evidence that's coming out in the trial that's happening right now as we sit here and speak, that they had the opportunity to do an exhaustive multi-7-year, 10-year background check, and they're like, nah, we'll go with the light version. They made choices. They knew exactly what they were doing. And it's the answer's money. What's the question? It's that fundamental. I hate to be so crude and jaded, but that's how crude and jaded they are.
Yeah, Uber will stop at nothing for profits. That's all they care about.
That's all they care about.
Have you seen, they actually have a show, a documentary type show that they're doing on them, and it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing one of the CEO that had been let go, but after, even within the company, a lot of sex abuse. It was crazy, the culture that they had.
It was called Super Pumped. I watched
Super
that.
Pumped. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It rots from the head down.
Will you hold this administrator accountable? Will you file criminal cases against federal agents? So Marissa Roy, same question to you. When you win City Attorney of LA, how are you going to make sure that our communities are safe against the administration?
Number one, join the lawsuits against the Trump administration. This city attorney sat out of the birthright citizenship litigation against the federal government, sat out of the Sanctuary City litigation for months, and it took a motion from city council for her to join someone else's lawsuit against ICE. In the first administration, I was outside counsel for LA County, was part of over a dozen legal actions against the Trump administration. I will be suing Trump from day one. Not only suing Trump, but prosecuting rogue ICE agents. And also, I think we need to think about it in the larger context of suing all of the businesses that profit from ICE. The private detention centers, Palantir, big tech, all of these companies that are turning the destruction of families into profit. We need to go after that too.
Fuck yeah.
Sounds good to me. Or can I vote tomorrow?
You can vote in June. We'll keep her.
I obviously have been doing this because I believe in it. I got in it really in 1993. After 103 passed, I could have gone doing many different things, but the reason I stayed in it was because of a little kid named Stephen Olson. I don't know if you know Stephen's story, but this was the age of HMO medicine, which we're about to come back to, by the way. And there's a kid who was 2 years old, running around in the woods with his parents and fell on a stick. Went to the emergency room. The doctor sent him away, say, you're fine. This is the age of HMO medicine. They didn't want to do the CAT scan, figure out what's wrong. Mom kept coming back saying, what's going on? Because he's not right. And they said, no, he'll be fine. Pumped him full of steroids. He finally came back, brain damaged, cerebral palsy, injured for the rest of his life. A jury gives him $7 million in pain and suffering because it's so clear that if he had gotten this test, this brain mass wouldn't have grown. And what happens? The minute the jury walks out of the room, the judge reduces it to $250,000. That's because of that micro law. And when that happened, I got the bug and I said, I got to keep doing this till we change the micro law, which we did in 2023. Took that long to up the microcaps, but we did it. And and by then I'm like, I'm kind of hooked on it.
You've definitely have the judges running scared.
It is our obligation as officers of the court to make sure that bad judges get disrobed.
We see it at a high level, how politics, you can literally have a Supreme Court in a state change due to politics and change everything for consumer rights. One little thing. How are you stopping these things? Nick Rowley, one human being is standing up to bad judges across the nation.
Started a organization called Justice Watch, which is a national organization focused on preserving and protecting the judiciary, disrobing bad, evil, abusive judges, and making sure that we get good ones appointed. We're involved with judicial elections all throughout the country. This year is going to be an important defining year. We have another, fight in Montana, or the same bad guys running for the Montana Supreme Court, Dan Wilson. There's no way he's going to get elected because I won't allow it. No way.
He has to be defrocked.
I'm telling you, Judge Murphy here in Los Angeles, she's one of the most intelligent judges I've ever been in front of. Her level of intelligence and experience, or the way she knows the law. I wish all judges knew the law the way that Judge Murphy does. But if she doesn't stop being abusive to lawyers, then I will disrobe her in 2030. And she needs to know that. Either she changes her ways or she decides to put in all the money that she potentially has to run for re-election. And I guarantee you she can't compete with me. She will be disrobed if she doesn't change her ways.
What year is that?
Judge Alarcon, same thing. He better change because he's abusing people. If not, he's going to disrobe his ass.
What happened to Judge Cato?
Judge Cato? Well, he was pretty old, but we disrobed him.
And I had dinner with a sitting judge that Nick tried a case in front of recently. And, he doesn't know who my friends are or whatever, but he said, hey, I had that Nick Rowley in my courtroom. Oh, really? Yeah. So I always play along. He said, yeah. He goes, as soon as that case got assigned to me, I got calls from 4 judges telling me, watch out. You got Nick Rowley in your courtroom. He took down Cato. He's trying to take down Murphy. Be careful. Watch your back. So you've definitely have the judges running scared.
Well, I don't want judges to run scared. Listen, when I stand in front of a judge, I am humble. I appreciate and have so much respect for the judiciary. And, this community, Los Angeles and California, 99% of our judges are phenomenal. They're good human beings. They're sacrificing themselves, their lives to work hard for justice, for our people, for us. It's just like downtown LA Law Group. They're just some bad ones that spoil the whole bunch, right? But we can't let them spoil the whole bunch. What I've heard from many judges is that they appreciated the complaint against Cato that got rid of Cato. They appreciated the complaint against Judge Murphy because she's been treating not just lawyers badly, but jurors, courtroom staff, treating other people badly, and they can't do anything about it. So it's our job as officers of the court to not allow a Judge Cato to be on the bench till he's 90 years old. I'm embarrassed that I didn't do something about this sooner, and we should all be embarrassed. Alarcon has to go. He's awful. He's awful. And it is our obligation as officers of the court to make sure that bad judges get disrobed.
Hey, this is Bob Simon, the host of Bourbon of Proof. This tour we couldn't do without our sponsors.
Hi, I'm John Morgan. I didn't wake up one day with the largest injury firm in America. I started with one office and a choice: grow or die. I took calculated risk, built my team, and made lots of mistakes along the way, but also built systems and procedures to avoid those mistakes in the future. I'm doing one seminar, one time, to show you how I did it.
Join me at the Wynn in Vegas on June 9th. Use code PROOF20.
What a lot of people don't know is when I started my trial lawyer career, I would work with other lawyers to learn how they do it, steal their shit, but really be immersed by it. So the first high 7-figure case I tried was with Brian Panish. And no shit, we went into his office on a Friday. We walked in on Monday. He knew the entire file. This guy has a photographic memory. Don't let him fool you. By the way, look at this jewelry from his championship days at Fresno State. Look at that. He knew. I'll never forget when he says, he goes, This is one of them peanut butter and jelly cases. It's like peanut butter and jelly. I could do this.
It's like a snack at recess in kindergarten. Peanut butter and jelly.
So
we still call it PB&J.
He walks in with Spencer Lucas and me and my twin brother Brad. We file a notice of association the day trial starts. And I'll never forget, the judge looks at defense and says, "You're in trouble now. Mr. Panish is here. He ain't gonna settle." And the look on this defense lawyer's face.
I love that.
I'm a younger guy. It's probably my 5th trial, but it's my first really big one. And we're sitting at counsel table, and they bring in this jury, and Brian's passing me notes. He's giving me sticky notes. This is 2013 or something like this. And I'm like, man, Brian Panish is sending me a note next to me. Like, this is really important.
You know what I remember?
No.
We got the first of all, it was a low policy. We got like 10 times the policy limits. They thought they were going to be smart and file bankruptcy. The only problem was now all the properties that they owned, and this woman owned a ton of properties, all went into bankruptcy, and it was all right there for us. But the best story of the case is we take the jurors out across the street of the downtown courthouse to the bar.
Candles?
Yep.
Yeah, and we're down there and we're all celebrating. We're having a good time, most of the jurors. And we go back and we take a picture outside, all of us. And going behind in the picture is the bus. And on the bus it says, "Accidente, Juan Jose Dominguez," in the back of the picture.
I love that. So you're at the point now where you're acquiring smaller firms?
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of that going on, right, Bob? I mean, what do you think of this consolidation in firms?
I think 2026, you're going to see a large amount of consolidation and retooling and operation of law firms. I think it's going to be a necessity for a lot of firms to be able to really do what they want to do and excel, to have a vertically integrated law firm. I mean, I just think that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah, that's the term, consolidating. Everyone keeps saying consolidating.
But it's like creating a super firm. I mean, why would you not combine super? If Mauro and I joined firms, it'd be f***ing cool.
Yeah. So like when you absorb a firm, you absorb their infrastructure, their employees, their lawyers, everything stays the same, just under a different flag, or how does it work?
It's a case-by-case scenario. Some people want to retire. Some people want to bet on the future with you. I get case-by-case scenario, but usually it's people that have been doing this forever. They have a really solid book. They've had the same phone number for 20 years, 30 years. And you're really
you might be in luck one day over here. I won't even take the pictures off. I'll just take the pictures of my kids.
We had
the food in the fridge.
We had our first law firm sale live on air.
I won't even empty the fridge.
I texted him the other day, we should start negotiating.
You can have the building, my cars that are in the warehouse in the back, everything. I mean,
how rampant is rideshare sex abuse?
I'll tell you, Bob, I was shocked. About 6 years ago, one of the leading law firms in rideshare came to me at a conference and said, "Do you think you can help us find a few situations where women might have been assaulted in a rideshare?" And I thought they were full of it because I just assumed that Ubers and Lyfts were safe. But I said, well, we'll try. We'll do a little test. We'll put out some messaging. I was shocked to find that women were actually being full-on assaulted in rideshares. So over the last 6 years, I just checked the numbers. We've done about 23,000 intakes on rideshare alone and helped 4,000 women join the civil legal action against Uber and Lyft. What blows my mind is that it's still going on, right? It's still going on today.
I don't think that they haven't changed the way they do business at all.
Wow. So there is John and Carlos Fernandez. Can you guys come up here, please? You have investigated some horrific rideshare abuse that has happened. Can't name names, but just situationally, walk us through on one of the cases that happened with you.
So we've had a handful of cases that have come across our desk. One in particular, the girl got a ride late at night, and next thing you know, she woke up 3 days later. In those 3 days, she has hazy memory of opening her eyes, seeing animals being abused, seeing what she called maybe witchcraft. She realized she was in other people's clothes Her clothes she later found ripped up. It was 3 days of being in some warehouse in some unknown place. And it was only after she escaped that she was able to work with us to figure out where she was, got her to the hospital. She went into hiding. She's still to this day extremely scared. The hardest part for her was knowing what had happened, but not knowing the extent. And every couple of days, she had an extra memory of there being other people involved, sexual abuse, drugging.
It all started with being offered water inside the Uber.
Yes, it was that whole Uber, hey, offer your clients a bottle of water, be cordial. So she went off of that notion and had trust.
And just to show you, and we're going to ask Susan this question after you guys are up here, but sounds like a very similar fact pattern that we probably hear. Susan, that you hear?
We hear that fact pattern quite a bit. I think there's this misconception that the women who are assaulted in Ubers and Lyfts are, doing something they shouldn't be doing. And that's just not true. We see women all the time who are picked up from the airport. They're tired. They might let their guard down in the Uber, but they're not women who in any way deserve to be sexually assaulted, and no woman ever deserves to be sexually assaulted. But I just want to get rid of this stereotype that can be out there about what happened.
Everyone to hear, how did you get 315 million, 250 net against Tesla? This is the first big one that they lost.
Yeah, right. So Tesla was undefeated up to this point. And for me to be able to say yes to take on that case meant that I had to say no to a whole lot of other things. And so thankfully I got the systems and the teams and the operations in place so that I basically could go to Tesla school for the better part of 2 years, work in multiple cases like this across the country, and understanding their data, understanding their algorithms, understanding their process better than they did and their lawyers did. And when I knew I had them was when we were deep into experts and they bring in a dude from Exponent. The doubt is your product, people. These are the firm that they literally had the experts who say that smoking doesn't cause cancer, that humans don't contribute to climate change. Again, you pay and they will say. And they got this dude who, this one expert, they had paid $965,000 to by the time of his deposition. One guy, this cat Ryan Harrington. And I went toe-to-toe with that guy in his depo and later in trial. And I knew this shit better than he did. And that was when I knew we were going to be okay. Because I had spent the time and had gotten so deep in the weeds, which is the only way that you can then take complex autopilot systems and algorithms and process and data and turn it into Gerber baby food so that you can spoon feed it to, in this case, 8 people sitting in a box in Miami.
First thing I thought about was the biggest product liability verdict probably ever. Was it the biggest that you've had? $4.8 billion?
4.9, but who's counting?
4.9, and this is also 20. Add inflation. So
that
what
was
did
1999.
1999?
Yeah.
Shit, I was still in college.
July 9th, it was OJ's birthday.
Really?
I was a lawyer at that time. I remember that case. Carl Douglas was on that case. Christine Spagnoli was on the case.
There were a lot of people on that. It was a 6-7 plaintiff case.
Did Carl Douglas really wear a purple suit one day to that trial?
Absolutely.
He did.
You want to hear the story of that?
We're going to hear the story.
Thank you.
Cheers. This is to the
Carl,
revolution.
Carl is a gentleman.
This is to holding every product that is unsafe accountable. Look, I would love if we were out of work on product liability cases so that things were so safe shit didn't happen.
Cheers.
I want to hear the purple suit story. I thought it was a joke.
Carl dresses kind of wildly anyway. And the GM was bringing their big expert. And I'm like, Carl, you got to wear all purple. We need some distraction. And I mean all purple, including the shoes. So he came with the full-on purple suit.
Straight
But that-
pimp. He was straight pimp suit.
Total. But it wasn't as good as when he wear these bumblebee, I call it, like a yellow. He looks like a bumblebee. And he wear this tie. So trial been going pretty good. We're in a couple months into it. It's a Friday afternoon. And they're calling their main expert. And I just felt that we needed a momentum changer. We needed something to really change the momentum. So I tell the lawyers, don't worry, it's gonna be great on Friday. So we start and we get to about 11:20. They're experts on the stand. And all of a sudden, some of the jurors are like, hey, and they're pointing out, hey, look over there, look over there, look. All of a sudden, the doors open. And in walks Johnnie L. Cochran Jr.
Really?
to the trial. And oh my God, the jury and everyone, you haven't heard that part?
I did not know that he walked.
So then the defense lawyer, the jury goes out, Johnnie comes up to Chris Bagnoli, gives her a flower, puts his hand on my back, blessing the case. At this time, this is post OJ, he's working in New York, Court TV with Nancy Grace. It's a pretty popular show, and he's living in New York. So the defense lawyer, God rest his soul, he was a hell of a lawyer. All he did was try General Motors fuel-fed fire fatality cases around the country. Excellent lawyer. He throws his pen against the wall, and he says, I've seen it all. These lawyers will do anything. and then Carl says, oh no, Mr. Simpson is coming on Friday. And I said, no, Carl. And if you remember the OJ trial, every day in the criminal case, they would roll in OJ's mom, Eunice, in her wheelchair, and she'd be looking at the jury, and if OJ was convicted, she would lose her home in San Francisco that OJ had bought for her. Yeah. So her name was Eunice, and Carl says, no, OJ's coming. No. Eunice is coming. And from then on, during the trial, we had Eunice coming? Eunice coming?
And it reminds me, like, we were trying the case, I talked with Brian, he kept telling, after he got rid of the defendant in the wheelchair, every day he'd tell the defense, you mess around, I'm bringing the old lady back in the wheelchair, I'm gonna call her again. Every day he would threaten them. So Rosa, thank you for coming on, thank you for sponsoring.
Thank you for having me.
People do not know how much of a badass you were professionally before you took this on. Like do you know this about her?
No.
She's like federal agent badass.
Federal agent?
She'd be on the airplane and be running shit that you'd even know, right?
Rosa she tolerates me, you know. We're not really friends, but she tolerates me.
That's a good thing.
Well, you kind of grow on her a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Bob Simon, the host of Bourbon of Proof. This tour we couldn't do without our sponsors.
We'd like to thank 11med. 11med makes it possible for clients to get access to medical care that they would never otherwise be able to have. So thank you to 11med. We'd like to thank Clio. Clio is a case management platform that's vertically integrated to everything from legal research to your integration with AttorneyShare to be able to do artificial intelligence integrations with everything you're doing. Thank you to Clio, the case management system that I personally use, that I love. Thank you for sponsoring Bourbon of Proof. We're on like text messages with groups of friends, and way before Uber even filed any initiative, Nick's texting all of us, we got to put an end to this. They're going to do this. He's like, we got to make it so that victims have rights forever. We got to go file these propositions. We got to go all in right now. And even our own friends were like, Nick, calm down. We're not doing those things. And now here we are.
Yeah.
And here we are. And I always think like, some people are like, Nick's fucking crazy. Crazy like a fox, because you don't fucking care. It's like, here's the right thing to do. I don't care the cost or the horsepower.
That's right.
It's got to get done. Someone's got to do it. How many times did lobbying groups that we're friendly with tell you, don't do it, Nick?
All the time, every time. Until now. Now things are changing, and we're more unified than we've ever been. We need to win this fight against Uber and show that we are the most powerful lobbying group in this country. And we're not lobbying for our own selfish reasons. We're doing it for the people, and we're doing it for the justice system that we believe in, that we took an oath to protect. That's what we need to do. If we can unify and stay unified and unify the lawyers in the other states, we will be unstoppable in such a good way, and we will protect the justice system, and we will protect the people, and we will protect the country against tyrants like Donald Trump. But the lawyers need to unify.
Tell us about Roblox, because we have a lot of people here have young kids. I know your son Max is on Roblox.
My son loves to play Roblox.
Can you tell me what's going on and what you're hearing and seeing?
I thought it couldn't possibly be happening because that game is marketed to minors, right? And there are parental controls. It's supposed to be safe. I never even heard of Roblox until about 18 months ago. So we put out some messaging about Roblox to see if any parents had problems with their kids as a result, if there was any sextortion, if any kids have been kidnapped or anything. Let me tell you, we had so many responses to our campaign in 24 hours, we had to turn it off. It wasn't somebody saying something rude online. These were cases where kids were lured out of their homes to meet predators, where there was sexual assault, where kids were driven across state lines, where kids committed suicide. Let me tell you, the parental controls do not work.
How is this not shut down? Because you probably hear these stories all the time too.
We hear it all the time. It's Snapchat, it's the dating apps, it's really everything that's online. I think as parents, we just have to be way more vigilant than we thought we needed to be and keep our kids off the screens as much as we possibly can.